Hello and welcome to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Those tuning in for the first time, we welcome you, and those coming back, thank you so much for being loyal. Please don't forget to press the like button, comment, and please share. So today we have our lovely guests here, the Ndlovus. I will ask them to introduce themselves. Of course, I have my lovely husband here. You know him, I'm sure by now. And I'll allow my guests to introduce themselves. So you may tell them who you are.
Thank you very much. We feel welcomed to your channel. What's the name of the channel?
Cleopatra Ndlovu.
We are very much blessed to be in Cleopatra's channel. My name is Mbuyisi Ndlovu, and I'm here with my wife, Sikolile Ndlovu. Thank you very much.
No problem at all. So please do feel very welcome and feel at home. So guys, today I'm sure you've already seen the topic down below. We're talking about the diasporans. So when you're living overseas, most of us have traveled for opportunities, for bettering ourselves and our children. But the question is it better to invest where you are as in the diaspora, or is it important to invest back home? So we are just going to be chatting back and forth. Please do comment down below and say what you feel or what you've done, what's your experience. So I think the Ndlovus here, we didn't really discuss, but from what I know, they are quite loyal to home. They are quite loyal to our African home. So I'm guessing that's where you'll be more leaning towards. And guys, mina diaspora. So this man here, me and him are on a bit of two different pages. I think he's half and half. He's half home and half here. So guys, please do sit back, relax, let's and listen in, and please do be commenting below. So I'll start just so I can make my guests feel take their time and relax. So the first and most important point that I would personally say is that I believe in live the best life where you are and enjoy where you are. I've seen, say for example, foreigners in South Africa. You'd find them living in very small places, crashed in small bedrooms, and maybe they are couples and they may even have children and have the smallest TV, but they're buying 62 inches and sending them back home, and they're buying this double, queen beds and king beds and these mattresses, and they're actually sleeping on a single bed. I'm thinking, no girl, buy yourself a queen bed there, rent a full house and be free and be merry, So that's my way of looking at it. But I will just let Mr. Ndlovu here say his first and most important point in our discussion today.
Thank you, Sis Clay. Yeah, you've already touched a very sensitive subject there when you're saying as a diasporan, you said live the best of your life wherever you are. That is a very important point. It is very true that you can live the best of your life wherever you are. But then the issue that we have as foreigners, take for instance South Africa. I'm not crushing your point.
Absolutely.
But then going back to South Africa, there's been issues of xenophobic attacks. Mm-hmm. And these things, they do not just end there in South Africa. We have seen when Trump came into power, he was building a wall. At first we thought it was a move with some kind of a lie, but then we literally saw the construction of a wall. I think it was dividing United States of America and Mexico.
Yeah.
Clearly reminding us or reminding people of who they are. Mm-hmm. So it really is important. It can be 100 years without any problems. It can be 200 years, like we have seen with Black Americans. These people have suffered for the past 400 years in a place that they've always called home since the days of slavery. And now we are seeing that the very same people are looking for their home. They're literally going into I'm not a science person, but I'd say into DNA banks or whatever they may call it, to try and see their identity so that they can always go back home.
Oh my God, guys, I'm sure you're invested. It's like I can just let him take over the channel and just talk. It's like I'm like, okay, I should have just given him the platform and I step back. But guys, I do absolutely hear where he's coming from. So essentially what you're saying is where you're coming, like you always need your background, or where you're coming from is where you belong. So don't forget where you come from.
Don't forget where you're coming from.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah, I would like to say so.
So in that sense then, because my opinion then, guys, is that if I'm going to be here in Ireland, so we are in the Republic of Ireland, so if you are going to be here for 40 years, so if you've come in your 20s and you probably think, you know, you'll go in your 60s, that's 40 years. So at what point do you decide, okay, I'm going to build back home? Because how sustainable is that home? Is it going to be still as nice or as good when you eventually decide to go back home? So what do you say? So when do you decide now it's time for me to start investing back home?
True that.
Maybe at the age of maybe 45, and then you start working, thinking that I have to move, to relocate or to have businesses at home, which is it's a good year at 45, so that at least when you reach your retirement, but you have already invested so much back home.
Now, my lovely husband, you're very quiet today. What's your take on our
No,
topic?
you know me very well. Like when I left Africa, I said I'm going to work wherever I am today, because that was the main purpose. That was the main reason. And sometimes I find it when you think of going back home, people say no, this and this and this. I remember where I'm coming from. Yeah. So I always want to invest where I come from. It's very important to me. This is what I can say. And as well, where I live, like I don't forget, because I don't want, as my wife has said, you find that other people back in South Africa, that we live in like in a small room, all these things, which is not good. Because at the same time, where you are, you have to be comfortable.
Yeah, true that.
You see.
Yes.
But you don't have to stress yourself as well. But don't forget, you know, the main purpose why you left where you came from.
Okay, so are we talking of business investment? Are we talking of building a home? Are we talking about agriculture and farming? So what kind of investment do you see people dwelling into from where people you've met or yourselves?
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I think we're just generalizing things from the beginning. Yeah, because by saying we are investing back home, it could have been just to move back or to settle there. There would be people that just want to go back and say, no, when my time of retirement has come, I just want to go and settle back home and die in peace. But then there are those that say, that have an entrepreneurial mind. Those that say, okay, this is an opportunity for me to make money. So why not invest in a place where I can invest in peace, where I do not face so many hurdles. So home is where I'm well connected. Because one, I belong to that particular land. I speak the language of everyone. Politically, there might be situations, but then there's a lot of investments that do not need so much money like you would need in the diaspora. Take for instance, you mentioned farming, Sister, and for me to go back and start farming, it's easy for me. I just go to my village head. Thumbs up to Sis Velile in South Africa. She has a YouTube channel where she's showcasing rural development, how people are moving into villages in South Africa, buying beautiful homes. This is something that we would not have seen 10 years ago. Yeah. We're all moving from rural life into the cities. Then we have a young man, Ghanaian young man called Wademai or somebody. He's showcasing what young people can do.
I love to watch him.
And we have some, thank God we have social media now. On Facebook, there is young people that have agricultural channels. They're showcasing young people at the age of 25, 26 that are into farming and are becoming millionaires. We've seen, so I would say there is opportunities.
Okay. So guys, I'm quiet. I look maybe defeated, but I'm not. So I am still saying An investment, for instance, back home to build a beautiful home might cost maybe 80,000 US dollars. And in my country, an average house of maybe of a place in a standard where you've built a house of 80,000 or 100,000 US dollars may be let out at the most at 400 US dollars. So I feel like even investing back home, the return is so slow, you know. Whereas if I decide to invest in Ireland, buy a second home, let it out, rentals are at 2,000 euros in Dublin. So I feel that the diasporan investment is more fruitful, is more supervisable, because if I start a farming project in Zimbabwe, in back home, wherever you are, if you're a diasporan, how do you supervise that? How do you manage it? What's the cost of traveling back and forth? I know there's technology now, so maybe yes, if you can you can monitor your business through technology, it may be sustainable or it may be profitable that way. But I am still pro buy a super house here, invest here, businesses. I don't know here, maybe I think we haven't exposed ourselves to businesses, especially Africans. There is, there is maybe, I could exclude the Nigerians because, left, right, and center, whether it's a supermarket, whether it's a barber shop, whether it's, so Nigerians have put themselves out there, but Southern Africans, I think we haven't really explored that market, but it is there, and I feel, sorry guys for the lighting.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah. I apologize for the disturbance in lighting there. So okay, so apart from now the investment, what's the other advantage of actually building or having something back home that you may tell us about?
Yeah, like for example, if you have kids, so it's better for them to know their culture,
Correct.
to know where they are coming from, which is, it will be great for them. Even if we're going to have our grandchildren, they'll know they have a home. So I think.
So yeah, I get. And guys, this is my sister-in-law. So what you're saying now is that build now so that you can be able to visit freely to a place you're calling your own home.
Yes.
So that when your children visit as well, they are feeling
have
at
their
home, they have
home,
freedom, and they I apologize guys, or maybe we should leave off the lighting because I think it will affect your eyes.
Technical glitches.
Yeah, just bear with us, family.
Yeah, keep going.
It's disturbing.
Keep going.
So okay, so then so then you're saying you believe in build your home that's comfortable enough for your diasporan born children, that they'll be proud of, that they'll be comfortable, that they will not be feeling that it's any less of a place. So you feel that building at home is important, so you can bring your children and your great-grandchildren so they can keep that connection with the place you call home.
And I have a point to steal there as well. It still is a good thing if you have that opportunity of investing wherever you are. Because you touched, I'm just going to move with you in that motion. You touched an issue of rentals that you get in Africa and the ones that you get here. If you have an opportunity, it's important that you have a house in Europe. If you can afford that second property, because I want to believe the house that you're living in cannot be an investment, cannot be any form of investment. Because you're still paying that mortgage.
Absolutely. Yes.
Then if you have that opportunity of buying the second property, it is a very good thing. It is wise to do that.
Correct.
But then the issue is, the majority of us, to say the majority of us probably would be wrong, but for some of us that would have moved to Europe, maybe at a very kind of an old age, or I would say those that are not those that don't have good jobs, it's kind of difficult for you just to have that single mortgage. So now the advantage of being in Europe is the council housing. You can live in a council house. And so, because you never have title deeds of your own, it is easy for me to purchase a piece of land back home, build a modest house where I can spend about 30 to 60,000 of money borrowed in euro, if possible, and have my own title deeds. That also helps. That kind of investment, if we look at the price of houses right now, the prices of pieces of land, in a medium density, or I'd say in some areas in Blawa, you can get a piece of land today, probably just that the prices are going up. Suppose
How much?
Probably for a 700 to 800 square meters, people are paying between 15 to 20,000 US dollars.
Which is
build
a
the house.
disadvantage because we don't have our currency. If only like in South Africa using our own rand, it was going to be cheaper, but which is so difficult because of the currency. That's the other thing that is killing, especially Zimbabweans.
Yeah, true that. Yeah, it really is tough. But
So now I am going to qualify.
okay.
So obviously now they are saying, you are saying, sorry, or I'm trying to speak to everyone here. So your argument is that build at home and your children will know where they come from. But then again, coming back to that point, I only go home every 3 years, sometimes even every 4 years, guys. Well, someone might say, what? Yes, I do. And that means my children only get to know their home 3 to 4 years. And maybe more, because sometimes we may go home and leave them behind. So are they really getting to know your home? Are you really fulfilling the purpose of your children knowing your home?
But madam, what do you think, brother?
What I can say to me, okay? I always, let me say, it's very easy to invest very well because all your savings is secured, the security is there. And for instance, let me say if you are here, you buy the second house, buy the third house, it's fine, which is excellent.
Yeah.
I'm in it.
Oh,
Do you understand?
Yeah.
I'm with that. But my problem is when people they come over, they want to forget about where they came from.
Oh, yes.
That's the only thing. So that's why I always say you can buy a house, you can buy a second house, but don't forget to buy the house where you came from. If you found that investment, maybe you're not sure of the security, but buy something which wherever you plan to go back or you visit, wherever is, you've got something. Like we have to be a man enough, like to say, look, I've got this. Do you understand?
Just say, you have, okay, because we obviously have discussed this in our own household. I know what he's saying is he's talking about cattle, having cows. So essentially that is what my husband here believes in, and I don't, because inkomo, guys, I'm just, unfortunately, guys, it looks like it's the 3-in-1 here. What do I get? You have to invest in diaspora. Let me stand up for them. So guys, like for instance, with cattle or cows, you need someone to look after them. You need to pay them. You need to feed those cattle, because back home our rains are not great. In most years we don't have good rains. So you have to buy feeding. You have to buy medicines for injecting the cows. Amadiba for the what do you call it? For the ticks. You have to, some of them, because they die. Some of them they are stolen, and I just feel like you're going back and forth with more or less the same number. Years are going by.
But we grew up having those things, and we still have it.
But instead of those cattle bringing something in your pocket, they are feeding from your pocket. If you calculate annually how much you're paying the cattle header, how much you're feeding those cattle with, how much medicines you're spending, you could have even bought another 3 cows with that money.
So you want me to sell those?
What do you say?
No, these days there's a lot of education around the issue of domestic farming.
I hope we can see you there. Come closer.
There is indaba yenkomo now. Abafundileyo wathi akusenkomo omelanga zihlale nje zigcinwe for iminyaka neminyaka. It's time that people say kudala thina ogogo labokhulu babegcina inkomo zibe 200 esibayeni. They didn't know they would suffer. in raising money to take their children to good schools.
But
But you have a lot of rural folk that were richer than people that were living in the cities. But they were not aware of that because inkomo kwakuyi-inspire nje njengoba usitsho ukuthi indoda inspire sayo. Ikanti inkomo bengayehlisa inkomo ezingu-10, it would have been enough to cover for that. Which is why today we are saying inkomo kumelanga sizigcine. It's an investment. We are now having that opportunity ukuthi asita no bamala inkomo zakho zizelwe zingu-10 or 15 manje. Why singa offload ezinye sithengise ezingu-15 or 20? Now the systems are there in Zimbabwe. Of course, political Zimbabwe is not very good, but the systems, ECSC has opened up. People can reach out and find out. There's a lot of agricultural platforms online that talk about how to invest and to invest in agriculture in a particular area of agriculture. And things are there, they are set up. So why not make good use of that?
Yeah.
Instead of this city is Nyamazana.
Yes. Yeah, point
And
well
then
taken.
there's this one, these cows, what do you call them? The one that maybe they will give you money, the one that that you invest there. I saw this other guy was saying 15,000.
Oh, a particular breed.
One breed, yeah.
And
the guy was based here in Ireland, yeah? Are you talking about him?
Probably.
Probably
Thank you very much
yeah.
for bringing that.
I know him.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, so I'm not I'm not agreeing to be beaten in this debate. Now, it's not a competition, but of course I would want to stand for those that because the other point that I want to put across again, going back to kids and investment, because I feel like as we are living today, most of us still have that mind that I'm doing it for the children.
Yeah.
And like I've said, our children, most of them have been born in the diaspora or came below the age of 10 in the diaspora, and they lose connection. They don't know their relatives. They don't know their cousins. They don't have friends back there. And they may migrate as well, even from the country we're living in today, as they grow older in their own, endeavors. And then my point is, if when the time comes and the Lord calls us, how are they even going to know how to navigate the system of that country to either sell or to officially change the names of the investment of the inheritance? Are we even telling them that, my child, this is what I have, come, let me show you, this is in Mhlahlandlela, or this is the city council, come, let me show you, this is the lawyer I'm dealing with. Are you actually going that deep talking to your children about these things?
Yeah.
Hey, that's a very strong point there.
Yeah.
Do you have a point?
I have a point on that, but you talk first. My answer is this. This thing, the ball is in your hand to tell your children where you're coming from, how you do things. I always tell my son what I do and what is the reason behind.
Oh, yes.
And even let me say you are gone, God has taken you away, whatever it is. The child will say, my father used to love this.
Oh, yeah.
They do research these people, they are more educated. Like we say, like my son will tell me some of the things back home which I didn't wait. Did you are aware of this? Because I love watching that.
Oh, yes.
So they do research a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even our son, he's always like saying he wants to go home. Even there was a time, remember that time when he said he wanted to go like schooling in Africa for some time, so that he is going to learn and understand everything about his culture.
Yeah, that is it is very true, sis. If you're saying, are we going to be doing that, or are these children going to go there? If you are to go back into we are looking at let's look at England. England has an issue right now. Sorry to say, young people, I'm talking about 18, 19, 20 year olds.
In London.
Don't forget to come in so that
they're suffering.
yes, our viewers need to see.
There's an identity crisis. This is a cultural thing. These children are now asking their parents, why did they choose UK? When you hear an 18 or 19-year-old child asking that, this is a child probably whose parent was born in Europe, in England, because there's some black cultures, if I'm not mistaken, that moved in the 1950s, 60s into UK. And we are seeing on social media again, where these children are asking themselves a lot of questions about their identity, about why this choice, because they are suffering. they're suffering, they're not getting jobs, they're frustrated on the streets by the police, by the community at large.
Yeah.
So now, some of these parents, they are long gone. Nothing was said to these kids. Now you're asking yourself, if at my age, if I hear a 19-year-old asking themselves, who am I? Why did my parents choose to be in London? Why not somewhere in Africa?
Yeah,
Anywhere
right.
around?
That's
That
a
is-
very,
It's
that's
so
a very,
true.
very, very good thing, you know.
Yeah.
And what you are saying is very, very important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, and it's touching.
It is.
I'm really apologizing, family, for our lighting today, but we will get it right the next time. I actually, thank you for that point, because I've always thought of it, like I've always told my child that you have an Irish passport, but you are not Irish. You may be legally Irish, you may be documented Irish, but they'll always ask you, but where are you from?
Oh,
You
yes.
know,
Oh,
even generations and generations to come, the white Irish will still ask, you know, where are you from?
What you're working
Yeah.
But
Yes.
where,
While you're
what,
working that
yes, where are you originally from? You know, so that's one thing I certainly and absolutely 100% agree with you. I don't believe in teaching my children that they're Irish. Now,
Yeah,
there's nothing
yeah.
wrong with the Irish. Of course, the Irish are Irish.
Very good people.
However,
Yeah.
if you are who you are, if you're African, you're African,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and do own that, and let us teach our children to be proud of it, you know, to be absolutely proud of it, because it is a good place. We just migrated for most
Yeah.
of us economic reasons, and really, once we are done, we're good. So let's talk retirement. Retirement. Are you retiring? Do you see yourself in your 70s, 80s in Ireland,
Nursing
or?
home.
No,
Or do
No.
you see yourself in Africa?
that's a big no.
So let's talk retirement. So where is it best to retire? In the diaspora or go back home?
Go back home.
And why do you say that? Anne?
At least at home, you have family.
You have family there.
Who,
right?
yeah, and even the weather conditions, they're very good. They'll be good for us,
Yes.
especially for our bones, you know.
Yes.
Not to be here with
my
the
God.
cold weather, you know.
Love, a diaspora or island?
What do
In
you
your
mean?
in your
What is-
70s.
what do you mean?
That's
Oh,
all.
sorry, I beg your pardon. Diaspora or Africa?
The past is written. How can you just- the past is just written, just there.
I pass it by
This is-
you.
this is-
Yes, my husband. I think I was talking to you yesterday, and I always tell her,
Yeah.
when now I'm finished working or going for my pension, I will be visiting Europe.
Amen.
Yeah.
I am an African man, and I feel that when it says now I'm old, now I'm using a walking stick, I'll be somewhere there in Africa. I'll be visiting here because I love it, but I don't forget where I come from. They call it a kin. You know the kinfo? Yeah, that thing. It doesn't forget how it cries. Always, it remembers. It will never cries like what do you call it? What
It will never maybe like
a chicken?
crawl like
yeah,
a chicken
yeah.
or whatever.
It doesn't forget.
Yeah. Then now, when you're retiring back in Africa, right now, we have a situation where we're all trying to bring our parents for healthcare issues. How are you going to be handling that?
See, that was my.
Which
I was just waiting for you guys to
Thank you.
finish your food.
Which one? Sorry, what say?
Can I take this one?
For
please?
treatment.
So Mr. Ndovu
Thank
is
you.
saying, especially in third world countries, you know, healthcare is not the best.
Yeah.
That was what I was just waiting for them to finish for the team,
Yeah, for the team,
guys
yes.
to finish so that I can tackle that one. Mina, I am open-minded. I am going to go and retire in my country, in my birth country, only if the economic situations is conducive. Uma kuvuma, I will go, but if I look at it and the healthcare system is crap, and the education system for my grandchildren or whatever, or for my children, if they are, because I'm saying and I have a very small baby, so my retirement may get there when my child is still in education. And if it's not conducive for my child's education, if it's not conducive for my health, if it's not economically, politically stable, that my vote still doesn't count, if it's still gender biased that I cannot express my interest because I'm a woman, if it's still, I don't know, I'm not rainbow interested, but if still the people that believe in the rainbow colors are still suppressed and not allowed to express their identity, there's a lot of things that these third world countries deprive us from, you know. So I would like to know that it's open, that is going to holistically make me happy. And then only I can be happy to retire there and settle there. Now I know this country is very cold, guys, and when you're old and your bones are cold, you want the heat. However, I think we should say, look, let's be prepared mentally that there is a possibility that these 100,000 US dollar houses were built in back home. We may never live in them, because if that time comes and there is no hospital or medication, why would you still want to go and live in that $100,000 house? Because why yaka? Since it's just now it's paining you. Oh my God, all that money I put down.
Not
no,
home is home.
Yeah, I
That will
do
never change.
understand you, but remember, there are people who are living there, and I believe that those countries which countries which are poor, once if you've got something, because the only people who, if you've got money, you do survive. You can be able to buy medication, all these things, etc., etc. But if you don't have them, this is whereby maybe your lack of something. I remember my father was not feeling well, was so sick, but because I knew what to do. The most important thing what was needed there was money, and then to take him to the very good hospital, doctors, all these things, and then nothing happened. So once if you have money, because you will be pensioned, all these things, but don't say like when only if the economy is good. If it's bad, I'm not going there. For me, home is home.
Yeah.
Bad or bad, good or bad, but I still know where I belong.
I support you. Home is home.
I think.
Whether there's medication or not. Home is
Yeah.
home. Yeah. you know that when you're home, with these weathers, at times, because of the
good weather.
good weather.
Okay,
Yeah.
then the last thing I'm going to respond to Mr. Ndlovu, you spoke up, I think it was Auntie, she spoke about being at home with your relatives or something. Now, what is the relationship? Are you really maintaining those relationships, or when you go home, they will now start saying, hey, you know, now like, how are you managing to maintain your good relationship so that when you go home in your old age, people are saying, you enjoyed your money in diaspora by yourself?
That is a point. That is a very good point. Because, hey, I want to know, but they tend to, these people always say, I'm going to find a look, and we tend to block them. Because now our lives are very good. And when you're reaching that age, you start looking for them because you want to go back home. That is a very, very good thing.
But people, they talk. If you do good, you don't do good, they still talk. So do you have to take?
Yeah,
but then
certain people that...
communities, I would want to say, I would want to believe with our communities, African communities, especially in the city. Your neighbor is your relative. We take care of each other. If especially if you had to go in the villages, there was so much respect. I remember twice in Zimbabwe, and our grandmother used to send us there every morning. Don't forget to get yes. So that is the kind of family that you need, and that is one good thing. When it comes to community level, we tend to take care of each other, and not necessarily meaning you have to be family, you have to be my blood.
That's true.
But now, coming back to that issue, which cities we go back. I think I still want to believe for me to say I'm going back home near retirement. It doesn't have I have to leave something for my children. It has to be anything big. But at times it has to be for my own peace.
Yes. Yeah. Amen to that. Amen to that. Guys, I just, can you please just repeat that one sentence? Please, guys, open your ears and listen. when you're doing something,
Yeah, yeah.
Kutwa, don't always say I'm doing it for my children, but say I'm doing it for my own peace.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, like I said, sometimes your children will not be interested.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Just
your
want to
children
move
will
somewhere.
become, I don't know, these IT experts, or they may become these ones that go to Mars, or they may become millionaires.
Yeah.
And your 2 cent home back in Africa, or even here in the diaspora, means nothing to them. Or they may decide to just that they're not interested in inheritance. So if you kill yourself saying it's for my children, I'm doing this for my children, you may not have peace in your grave. You know, people that, because of how you'll be turning in your grave. So just do it for yourself, for your peace. What will suit you? What will suit your situation? Yes, your children, think of them, but as a secondary, priority in your life. But whatever you're doing, put yourself first and do it for you first. And then the rest of all the other people, your children, your grandchildren, they will come after. So that's my way of looking at things as well. Now, before I wrap up, any other points we didn't talk about? Any other thing that you would like to before you go?
I mean, I still stand for. I still stand for.
Investing back home.
I strongly believe that people should invest back home. There's a lot of opportunities in Zimbabwe. We have a lot of young people that also need your help. We have a lot of educated young people that have finished universities. We have engineers, we have scientists, we have artisans that have nothing to do. Your little investment, if you take that little investment and say, okay, let me try to partner up with so and so, and there's legalities and everything. Instead of someone earning just mere $120, you say, let's partner up and do some business. You let those guys do whatever engineering business you want to take. There's a lot of shell buildings in Bulawayo, for instance, Bulawayo. So you're actually hoping to build these young people up. You're creating employment at the same time.
I remember 1 hour back when we were sitting there, you asked me a question from Norway. When we were watching football, you said to me, Mindo, you think you can invest back in South Africa? You remember what my cousin says? I know. I said yes, I can, because for security I can. But the problem is just the crime. That as long you know that at the moment to stay, the service is not that good. But to invest, it's very good. You remember?
Yes.
And then I believe that when you want to invest back, you choose the place where you want to invest, but you must not forget where you come from. That's my ending. You know?
Okay, so invest where your money will come back, but do not forget where you come from. Home. You believe in going home. Your last point was number 1, guys. He couldn't have expressed it any better. We've traveled for economical reasons. Let's invest back home. Let's help our country. Let's help our economy. Let's create employment and jobs for our own people back home. Let's increase their wages. If you can afford to pay people $200 versus maybe a local person who's paying them $100, make their lives better, help them to provide for their own families. You couldn't have said it any better. And as for me, in conclusion, make sure you're comfortable where you are. There's no point in living in a dungeon and having a mansion back home where you visit only once in a year or once in every 2 years. So please, thank you so much for watching. If you're still watching till now, I appreciate you. Please do subscribe, share with family and friends, and do click the like button so that we know that you're enjoying what you're listening to. And please do come back next time on our next installment. Take care of yourselves and of each other. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.